morning, and before we start, I'd like to thank all of you for coming here, because many of you could have said, it's far too hot, the trains are off, and I'm not coming, so thank you. The POA has been battling to get back its right to strike. It's been 32 years since the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act banned us from striking. And what that means for our members is they are not allowed to walk out of work. They are not allowed to encourage each other to support action where prisons are not safe to work in, whether that this week is about temperature, whether that's about overcrowding, whether that's about short staffing, and whether that's about the complete inability of the Ministry of Justice to recruit staff and retain them. That makes prisons a very unsafe place to work. And the government has steadfastly refused us the right to strike. I think we were hopeful when Keir Starmer came in that he would do that, because there's actually no cost implication to that. You don't have to put up taxes, you just have to pass a very small bit of legislation. However, that has not happened, and we are hoping that with the change of Prime Minister, that Andy Burnham will be supportive of that. Now, the right to strike is a fundamental human right, which is the right to withdraw your labour. And historically, if you look at where we are, indentured labour was outlawed in this country centuries ago, as was slavery. This is yet a different version of forcing workers to go to work when they choose not to. That should be a choice, and for our members, it is not a choice. And that is something that is so fundamental to international human rights. We have lodged a documentation with the ILO, and we intend to see that through. And our legal advice says we're going to get it. So they really need to hurry up and give it to us, would be my view. I would also like to speak on behalf of the other part of our trade union, which is less well known, which is those who work in secure psychiatric care, where the most mentally ill patients are placed. This has in effect been privatised by the back door to the private sector, with large numbers of those who are significantly mentally ill being placed with private sector companies who make huge amounts of profit from holding them, as does the prison service, G4S, Serco, etc. And we would like every single contract that comes up for renewal, whether that's an NHS contract or an MOJ contract, to come back in. They can do that. That again will cost them nothing. However, there has been a marked reluctance to do that. And it is in all of our benefits that happens, because that will contribute to an increase in wages and potentially terms and conditions. The other thing that I would like us to consider is what kind of society we want today. We look to Scandinavia in particular, where childcare is free, where university education is free, you get your place and it costs your family nothing. And that's really fundamental, because after the Second World War, that was a promise that was put out there and which has benefited many working class people. The cost of sending your child who wants to go and is able to go is prohibitive for lots of families, and those young people just don't go. And I think that's a crying shame, actually. And I suppose the final thing I would like is that mental health is a part of the NHS service, that it stops being contracted out, and that we all receive that service. And that also includes those who need care in their later years. Because again, in Scandinavia, that is free. You know, nobody's going to come knocking on your door for a payment. However, I do think we do need to talk to our members, because direct taxation here is actually low. I know they say we can't increase tax. However, it has to be paid for. And I do accept that on one level. Indirect taxation is excessive, and it hits working class people, those on lower incomes, more significantly than those on much higher incomes. So we do need to think about that. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you have a great conference.